It is never a dull moment. It is never an uninteresting moment when one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA joins the program, the Hall of Famer himself, one of the NBA's top 50 all-time players. I consider him top 15 of all time for damn good reason. The Hall of Famer himself, Rick Barry, joins us next. The Warriors are on fire, and we're going to break it down here on the Golden Days.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win.
I do my best to do what everybody wants, and that's to win a championship.
Woo! Let's go! In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up.
Oh, that music means we're about to get started. Warriors are pumping. Welcome to the Golden Days. I'm one of your two hosts for the afternoon, Cyrus Saatsaz. More importantly, the man next to me, the Hall of Famer, one of the greatest to ever do it, the NBA top 50 player, I say 15, Rick Barry. You can follow him on all social media platforms. I believe Instagram's your primary choice, but you're everywhere, sir, at Rick24Barry. How are you doing today? And you're joining us immediately following Joe Namath's celebrity golf tournament. I'm sure that was fun. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, it's always nice to get to see Joe. He and I are back in New York at the same time when he was doing his thing for the Jets and I was playing for the Nets. Known Joe for a long time. He's raised a lot of money, done a lot of wonderful things with all the work that he's put in. He's got a foundation now, and they do a lot of wonderful things to help out those less fortunate, especially children. So it's nice to see him, and then I get to see so many other people who I know. I mean, great Hall of Famers from other sports and other great athletes. You know, Johnny Damon, who played with the Red Sox and with the Yankees, who's a good buddy, and I play in his event. And I could just go on and on with some of the people who are here. So it was great. We had a nice day, a little windy, tough to play golf in the wind. It just gives you that much more respect and admiration for those golfers when you saw what they did in the Players' Championship when the wind was howling out there and those guys are still going out there shooting in the 60s. It's pretty remarkable. Golf is such a difficult sport. I have so much respect and admiration for pro golfers and what they are able to do. They're damn near like robots. I mean, for them to be able to play under the conditions that they play in with all the variables that exist in golf, and there's just so many elements to the game. It's such a difficult game. So my respect for golfers is just immense. But anyway, it was great. We raised a lot of money. It was a good thing. My team didn't have a chance of winning. We played with some good people. I meet a lot of great people. When you do these things, I've got a lot of people who've become good friends of mine over the years. Seriously, Cyrus, you just, you meet people you've never met before, and you just never know. It's always nice to meet new people, and that's part of the reasons why one of the reasons why I enjoy doing it and putting a little time and effort in to do it. I'll be back out there in the Bay Area. Got a big event coming up for a charity event in the Bay Area coming up on April the 7th that I'll be playing in. And I'm looking forward actually going to see the Rockets, hopefully hearing from Raymond Ritter, to get to see the Warriors playing in person. That'd be a heck of a weekend because they got Denver on Friday and they've got the Rockets on Sunday. So two, very important games. They're all important games right now because they're battling for positions in the playoffs to see who they're going to wind up playing. But it's just been so much fun to watch this team play with a renewed energy and excitement. I mean, you can just see the different change and attitude of this team in their body language and the way that they're playing, the energy that they put into the switching, getting out and challenging people, and then doing the things like they did, like even last night when Steph, who falls down, and I can relate to that. I remember I fell down one time like that and I had to leave the court. I couldn't even move my legs. It was a scary thing, to be honest with you. And hopefully it's nothing more than a bruise for Steph, and he'll be able to get over it fairly quickly. I don't know if they've come out with a report or not on it, but I know what that's like. It's a very scary thing.
And that's part of the reason why this timed out very well for you joining the program today. Is the news did drop. Shams Charania, the first reported, in the Warriors. I don't know if they've released anything themselves yet, but yes, it is confirmed that it is just a pelvic contusion. It looks like an injury that Steph himself suffered a few years ago. a bruising of the coccyx. And you just explained how you experienced that yourself. I've done that as well. It hurts like a son of a bitch. But the great news, Rick, and I don't know if you agree with these sentiments, this could be a blessing in disguise. Of all the injuries for an athlete to suffer, I would say a bruised pelvis / bruised tailbone is one of the better ones, just because you will recover 100% from it. There are no lingering issues. It's more of a pain threshold issue. Would you agree with that sentiment? What do you think?
Yeah, it all depends upon the effect that it has when you make certain movements as to the tenderness of it and whether it's radiating down and hitting some other nerves and causing an issue for you. But usually it's not something that is a season-ending type of an injury, things of that nature. So that's a seriously good thing. But, just to see some of the things that the players do, it's so funny. So, I mean, because I'm talking about the game. My wife, who knows basketball really well, she doesn't, follow it as closely. And all I said, well, it's really nice to see the Warriors postman doing well. And she says, well, what's his name? I said, his name is Post. She started talking about a postman, a 5-man, right? I said, shooting 6 for 9 from 3-point range, right? So, which is really just such an awesome thing. And we talked about this when he first was playing, on the G League team, that he has the ability to help stretch the floor. And then, and this is why we talked about why it was so great to have a player like Jimmy Butler who can step up. So what happens? Steph goes out. The game's on the line. It's a close ball game. I mean, credit to the Raptors for playing as well as they played. But Jimmy steps up and gets a triple-double. Makes a big block, huge block down the stretch, and winds up getting that triple-double to help propel the team to another victory.
Yes, sir.
Kuminga getting another double-digit game coming off the bench. He didn't have a particularly great game shooting, but who cares? I mean, here's the thing. Would you rather go as a player? Some guys actually would probably rather go, 12 for 20 from the floor and get 30 points and lose the game, as opposed to going, 6 for 18 and getting 15 points and winning the game. I mean, it's not about your statistics as far as individually what you do. Did you help contribute to the team's victory? That's all that really should matter. Like we felt when we played in 75, we didn't care who got it done as long as someone got it done. That's what a team is all about. This is the type of an attitude and atmosphere that exists with the Warriors right now, and it's so exciting to see that. And every one of these games is important, because then who are you going to match up with when it comes to playoff time? And I've said this before. I always call this the pecan job syndrome. It happened the other day when they lost to the Nuggets. That was so classic of this name that I gave what takes place in a basketball game. You're playing a good team. Their key players are hurt or out for whatever reason. The hardest thing in the world to get your team as a coach to understand is that you have got to actually focus even more to play your best brand of basketball, to get out there and play the tough defense, and to have your head in the game, knowing full well that as a coach that the other team has nothing to lose. They're going to come out and try to prove something. There's nothing on their case whatsoever. Nobody expects them to win. And what happens is the players and the coach are saying, guys, we got to play hard. Just because the Joker and, the other guys are out doesn't mean that, these guys are going to roll over and play dead. They're going to actually play harder. They have nothing to lose. We've got to be ready to go. And the players are all saying this. Yeah, coach, right. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. We got to do that. Let's go get them. There is not a chance in hell that entire team is focused in the right way, thinking that there's any way that the Denver Nuggets, without all those players, are going to beat the Golden State Warriors at home. And they wind up losing a game that they should definitely have won. It's happened to them 2 times, okay? The last 2 losses that they've had were definitely con job syndromes. They're playing against the team on the road, the last road trip, great road trip, right? The one game you expect that they would have won on that for sure is the game they lost.
Yeah, great
against
call.
Philly, who was on an 8-game or 9-game losing streak. So this is the interesting part about professional athletics, is that the state of mind is such a critical element when you're playing games. You have got to keep your head in the game. The Warriors, last 2 losses, they didn't have that state of mind, and it cost them 2 victories.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to play a soundbite from Draymond Green echoing your sentiments. There's a lot. You said a lot there that I love to follow up on, but I got to give some love to our sponsors, Rick. Real fast here. First and foremost, visit Humboldt, and more specifically, check out the website. Visit Humboldt.com. It's one of the most beautiful areas on the planet. Rick, you've called the San Francisco Bay Area home for a lot of years. I don't know how much Humboldt has changed from the days when you traveled there. Did you ever travel there like in the 70s when you used to, in 60s when you called San Francisco home?
What do you mean travel where?
Up to Humboldt County, like you like Arcata, Shelter Cove. Did you ever make? Have you ever been up there to Humboldt County?
Traveled some, but not a lot. I'm not that familiar with that area. I mean, I know about Humboldt County and understand about that. I mean, there's so many great places in the state of California. So, but yeah, I'm not all that familiar with it. But it's beautiful up there. Well, yeah, the redwood trees. I mean, unbelievable.
Well, I that's fascinating, Rick. And if you ever decide to make a trip there, you just said that California has a lot of beautiful places. I'm going to make a bold statement and say that Humboldt might be the most beautiful of the entire state. People call San Francisco, Sacramento, this part of the state, Northern California, when in reality, it's Central California. The true Northern California is Humboldt County. There's so much to do, amazing breweries, places to eat, hiking trails, national parks, state parks. Go check out Visit Humboldt to learn more, whether it's places to stay, things to do, or DM me on Instagram at DogWild. DM me on Twitter at Surf Journalist. I used to call Humboldt home once upon a time as a student of Humboldt State University, which is now known as Cal Poly Humboldt. DM me or check it out. Visit Humboldt.com. Today's episode also brought to you by BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform. March Madness is in full swing. Rick, I'm not keeping track of your alma mater, Miami. Are they in the tournament this year? And if yes, how are they doing?
No, in fact, they went in the toilet this year to the extent that Jim Larinaga even resigned. So, yeah, no, they're not doing anything at all. And my son Scooter's team, oh, my God, I couldn't believe how Kansas self-destructed against Arkansas the other day when they, wound up losing to Calipari, who's the new coach there now. They did not play well at all. They just destroyed themselves. The turnovers, the poor play on their part. I'm sure that Bill Self is just beside himself to lose that game. That was not so much a game where they lost to Arkansas as opposed to them losing the game. And that happens a lot in sports all the time. We see it. We've seen it with the Warriors, that'll happen at times. And again, it's just because you lose your focus, you don't execute properly. And most of the time, and I've spoken about this even during the great run that the Warriors have had in the last decade or so, I always brought it out, even when they had their incredible teams, when they had, when KD was here, I always said that the Warriors are always their worst enemy.
True.
And they help beat themselves.
True.
No, it's true because they don't focus on the defense. They don't pass and move it. They get stuck on trying to rely on KD during those times. And if he was on, it's going to work for you. If he's off, then you're not going to be able to score and play the kind of game that you're capable of playing. And so much of all sports, even, in golf and all, especially, I mean, if you're a golfer and you watch the players go, remember Zalatoris is tied for first place. And he's 11 under par. And next thing you know, all of a sudden, the freaking rug got pulled out from under him. Next thing you know, he gets a quadruple bogey. Then he gets a double bogey. I mean, it's like he just disappeared. He went from 11 under par to 2 under par. And all of a sudden, out of the mix and just destroyed him. And that can happen in golf, but it happens in other sports as well. I just don't think it happens as dramatically as can happen in golf. Because, you get a quadruple bogey in golf. I'm trying to see, how can I relate that to basketball, getting a quadruple bogey for a pro on a hole in basketball? I don't even know if there's anything that even comes close to that, because that's just disastrous. That's just crushes you and kills you. So anyway, I'm just happy with the way the Warriors are playing right now. We don't have a lot of games left. What's the projection right now? Are they looking at as far as where they could wind up in the playoffs?
I'm going to get to that in just a second, I promise. I just want to finish up this ad read real fast. Curtis, again, BetOnline, a proud sponsor of this program. And Rick, going back to the college game, because they're hyping up March Madness right now, which you could bet on. You have a lot of connections to a lot of schools. You played for Miami. Canyon played, please correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. Canyon played for Florida. Brent played for Oregon State, I believe. John played for Georgia Tech, I believe. Was a Scooter who played for Kansas.
Drew played for Georgia Tech, and Scooter was on the championship team at Kansas.
So you have two boys who played at Georgia Tech. Yep. So which is there a favorite?
John and Drew.
Do you have a loyalty towards any one school, or is Miami? Do you have a loyalty to any one school, or is Miami the? Go ahead.
No, I would, root for the teams that my boys are on all the time, obviously. So that made it fun. And if there was somebody else, a coach that I knew, if I wasn't something else wasn't going on, and I knew another coach that was coaching somewhere, I'd, pull for his team if it wasn't for mine. And the crazy thing is when both of the boys were playing in pros, John and Drew, John, Drew, and Brent at the same time and doing it, it was hard. It didn't matter though, because but if they played against each other, whatever team won, that would have been fine because one of my boys was on the winning team. So
Right,
that was
right.
kind of interesting when they played against each other. So yeah, it
That
was
is
special.
interesting.
I'm
Jesus.
probably more depressed than any of those guys. The fact that all my boys are done with basketball now. So I'm depressed because I love so much. An interesting thing about my son Ken, he played 5 years on the 3x3, right? So he was 7 times on the USA basketball national team for
Correct.
3x3 basketball, played in 6 international major tournaments, had 4 gold medals and 1 silver, and unfortunately the injury to Jimmer Fredette caused him that chance not to get a medal in the Olympics. But in those 5 years that he played, I had never seen him play in person because he was playing on the world tour for FIBA. So he's playing in places like Abu Dhabi, Mongolia, the Philippines. I mean, he's all
India,
over the
right?
freaking world playing,
Yeah.
and all of the games were streamed. So I got to see him play all those games. He had one game in Miami that was the AmeriCup that they won the gold medal. I was busy. I couldn't get free to go there. My wife went with her parents, and they got to see him win the gold medal down there. So for me, the first time I ever got to see him play was in the Olympics in Paris. So that was so special for me to see him as an Olympian, to have that experience. Because once you're an Olympian, you're always an Olympian. Would have been great to have him win a medal, but he did exceptionally well. I think he does have the record, and we'll see how long it lasts because they've only had the Olympics twice for 3x3 basketball. I think it's the most points scored in any one game by a player. He had 15 of the 21 points to beat France, who had a silver medal, won a silver medal in the Olympics. So yeah, it was cool. I mean, and so now I don't have somebody to watch anymore for that. So it's kind of sad for me. I love watching my boys play.
I'm sure you do. And your entire life is interesting, sir. Anyways, BetOnline, the game starts here. Have fun betting on March Madness and all the action going on in there. Going back to the Warriors. So I want to play this soundbite from Draymond Green because it piggybacks off what you were saying about how the Warriors at times play down to the competition. They're their own worst enemy. Besides, you meant the mistakes that they make a lot of times, the turnovers is usually what kills me, right? Steph and Draymond, that's the one chink in the armor when talking about their history, their careers, is the turnovers have always been a problem. And it goes back to what you said. They're sometimes their own worst enemy. But at the same time, you look at the Warriors and the way they're looked at from other perspectives, other teams. And Draymond in this soundbite brings up the fact that when the Warriors play other teams, like, for example, last night, the Toronto Raptors, a team that's going nowhere fast in terms of playoffs. But Draymond brings up the point that when teams see the Warriors, they elevate their games. And I'll let Draymond explain it himself. Here's Draymond following last night's win over the Toronto Raptors.
Right, you guys have played a lot of teams where people will look at the record and say you should blow them out. It should be a comfortable win. Are you disappointed when that doesn't happen, or do you like the idea of having to battle even against lesser opponents?
I mean, you always want to get the win convincingly. But in saying that, we're the Golden State Warriors that's dominated this league for the last 10 years. Everybody's going to have their best game. You got guys in the league now that has watched this team growing up for years, and they are ecstatic when they're on the floor playing against us. And so, you look at Jameson battle tonight. Like, he had it going. Probably best game of his NBA career. You see a lot of that when you're us. Everybody, the coach always come in, he talk about the expected field goal percentage. Man, they'd be like, yo, they were expected to shoot 44%. They shot 52% and 54%. Like, that's because guys come in and they play out of their minds when they play against us. And it's just always been a thing. So, you have to adjust to that and just find a way to get it done.
Rick, I'm guessing you experienced something similar in the 70s with your Warriors team, but I like what he said there about the expected field goal percentage from your opposition, meaning Don't look at what the box score says. Expect much better than that when a team is facing you. Your thoughts on rising performances from other teams when they play the Warriors?
Well, I think he's absolutely right. It's kind of like we have to understand when you win a championship that the next year, every game you play the next year for every team is a critical game for them. You're playing the defending champions. So you've got
Right.
something to prove all the time. That's why you have to be mentally, it gets back to what I talked about. You have to be mentally prepared and focused on what needs to be done in order to win those games. And you can't just expect that a team is struggling, they don't have a great record, you're playing at home, and that's where you get the con job syndrome. I mean, there's no way in the world. That's what happened against the Denver Nuggets. I mean, seriously, there is no way in the world that those players believe. They conned themselves into thinking they mentally were ready to play. We're going to play hard. We know we have to do it. They didn't believe that the Nuggets could possibly beat them without 3-star players playing for them. And they're playing at home. Come on, seriously. And they played like it. And so that's the disappointing thing. But what you have to be able to do is catch yourself and understand what's going on and what happened. I mean, and I know I can honestly say that mentally, I remember one game specifically that I played in that I mentally was not ready to play in the first quarter of one game. I was so upset with myself at the end of that quarter for allowing myself to fall into that trap and to play as poorly as I did. And it's something that you can't teach a player. You can't teach a player how to stay focused. If I had that magic elixir, I'd be a trillionaire because every athlete in the world would buy it from me to have it so that I could take a sip of this before I go play, that my head's going to stay in the freaking game and I'm going to play at the level that I need to play at to be able to get wins or play my best. So that's an element that exists. It's something that every player has to learn, what it takes for him as an individual to keep his head in the game.
Draymond Green has led the Warriors in scoring twice this season, last night and last Thursday. Before that, he hadn't led the Warriors in scoring in any game since 2015-16, the year the Warriors won 73 games. I bring that up partly because Draymond, teams defensively are scheming to take Steph and Jimmy Butler out. And last night, I thought it was insane that Draymond Green had 14 3-point attempts, and he made 5 of them. Just good enough, right, Rick? Based on the 33% theory that as long as they're making 33% of the threes or higher, that equates to 50% of twos, you can live with that. That is efficient. Your thoughts on teams forcing Draymond to score, and what are you seeing from Draymond in reaction to that?
Well, I mean, obviously he played at a level that was decent enough to help them be able to win. And, Jimmy elevated his game and, you don't see Jimmy getting triple doubles all the time. But that's what it takes from a team standpoint. Draymond has to feel confident enough in himself that if necessary, he needs to do that because otherwise he's going to hurt his team. Because if you're wide open as a player and I see my teammate wide open, I'm trying to figure out a way to get in and maybe get an offensive rebound because I figure he's going to shoot the ball. And if he doesn't shoot the ball, it kind of screws up the flow. I mean, you expect a teammate wide open to take that shot in today's game, as many threes that are being taken. And so you make another team pay a price. If they're going to give him that opportunity, well, then take advantage of it. I mean, just do what you have to do. Now, is it always going to work? No, not necessarily, especially with a player like Draymond, who's not known to be a proficient 3-point shooter. But, he's had his moments. I mean, one of the games, a week and a half ago or whatever, he hit that big 3-point shot at the end of the game at that one home game that helped seal that victory for him. So, which is good because that makes him confident enough to know that, he can knock it down and that's good for the team. So he has the right mindset. He's been around long enough to understand that, know that. He learned that himself years ago, I can guarantee you. It's the young guys that have to figure out how to do that. Kuminga's got to figure out that. The pod man's got to figure out what it takes. All these young guys post the same way. I mean, look, he's capable 6 for 9 for a big guy. That's great shooting. 6 for 9 from 3-point range.
Fantastic.
Spread the floor and make it easier for Jimmy. I mean, that's great shooting. And so that's tremendous for building your confidence, feeling good about yourself, and knowing that the coach is going to allow you to do that. And when you do that, you're going to make your team much more efficient and much more difficult to defend, and you create more opportunities. Post being able to do that and spreading the floor is great for guys like Butler and guys like Kuminga who like to go and attack the basket. Because you don't have the big guy. The big guy, if the big guy stays in to protect and Post is out there knocking down threes, well, hell, he's got to get out there and guard him. And so now that opens up the floor for all kinds of other opportunities.
Stephen Curry, again, the news coming down today that the injury he suffered last night confirmed is a contusion. There are no breaks. There are no serious injuries in other parts of his body. He's going to miss the start of the road trip. The Warriors play the Hawks tomorrow, an early game for West Coast fans, for the East Coast standard, typical. So you'll be joining us. We'll be going live at approximately 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night. Rick, this is my belief, and let me know if you think it's a crazy belief or if anything you want to add to it in case I'm resembling some sort of sanity here. I actually think this could be a blessing in disguise for the Warriors for the simple reason that we heard Steve Kerr and other people as well bring up that following that Nuggets game. And I don't know if I appreciated this. I don't know if you felt the same way or not, but I did think they were passing the buck a little bit, blaming Stephen Curry's exhaustion for that Nuggets loss. There was more to it than just Stephen Curry being tired. It was exactly like the points you were making. But with all that said, Stephen Curry is going to miss some time. This could be a blessing in disguise. He could get some rest. He could feel refreshed. And with the Warriors in a playoff push right now, their record is 41-29, 12 games remaining in the season. They have a shot, side note, to hit 50 wins on the year. They're battling for playoff positioning. With Jimmy Butler, the Warriors still look like a damn good team. They're 7-3 this year without Steph. That doesn't include last night's win when he left the game because of injury. So you could argue they were 8-3 without him. Anyways, I think this could be there could be some fortune coming out of this in the sense of Steph getting recharged, getting those batteries boosted. What are your thoughts on that theory? Is it crazy?
No, it's not crazy. I mean, it certainly could help him some, but only Steph knows whether or not he's fatigued or not. He doesn't play an excessive amount of minutes. But anytime you can get him some rest at this time of the season, the biggest thing is, this could be great. If the team goes out and plays and does what they did late in that game to come away with the victory, especially it's going to be more difficult. You're going on the road. I mean, every victory is a critical victory right now because they're in a real battle for where they're going to be. I mean, so every game is a very, very important game. And, it could be a blessing, but it's only a blessing if they win the games when he's not playing. Otherwise, it's not much of a blessing. So we'll see what happens. I mean, fortunately, it's not like they're going up. I mean, I didn't even haven't looked at it that closely as you do. So they take Atlanta, and then who's the next games they're playing against? I didn't even look at it.
Rick, I'm glad you asked that, and this sets up this gives us an opportunity to bring up the road trip. They got a 6-game road trip coming up, a road trip that I see as being more of a beautiful stretch of games for the Warriors in terms of strength of opponent. They play the Hawks on Saturday. They play the Miami Heat on Tuesday. Then they play the Pelicans next Friday. Spurs, Grizzlies, Lakers wrap up the road trip. But what sticks out to me, besides the fact that with the exception of the opponents at the end of the trip, the Grizzlies are going to be tough. Lakers, obviously tough. The Warriors have relative ease, again, in terms of strength of schedule. But maybe more importantly, they play 6 games on this road trip. They have 6 days off during the road trip. They got
that's what I'm saying. The in-between times, that's the blessing. They play they play the Hawks, and they got a bunch of days off before they play until Tuesday.
Yes.
So getting a win against the Hawks would be a critical thing. They get a win against the Hawks and have all those extra days. Steph may be able to get well and be able to continue to, come back into the rotation and play again. They're very fortunate that they have 4 of the 6 games. You would assume 4 of those 6 games are very winnable games for them, and possibly winnable games, maybe even without Steph. And I think a lot will be determined by how well the Warriors play and whether or not they get those victories. If you get a victory, especially against the Hawks, it's going to be a lot easier to now Steph's getting a substantial amount of time to get himself well and healthy and get rested up and do what he needs to do to keep himself sharp. Maybe then you don't play him on Tuesday. You give him that extra time.
Right.
And then they got time after that. So getting the Hawk game, I think, is a really critical game for the decision that would be made as to how much time you're going to give Steph to let himself back and ready. You don't want to give too much time because I can guarantee it. Sorry, you may get some rest, but your sharpness is not going to be there. If you have an extended period where you don't play, that many days, it's hard to stay really super sharp. You can lose a little bit because the fine tuning of these athletes, they're such great shape. More than three days or more could be a problem. It really can. Even without forget injuries and stuff, 3 days or more could be a little bit of an issue. So let's just see what happens. So I hope that they can get this victory against the Hawks. That would be absolutely awesome, and we'll kind of go from there.
Good point on that. And the rust factor, right? You don't want Steph to lose the rhythm that he's established this season of playing on a regular basis, the routine that so many of us need to be happy, functioning individuals. I think pro athletes are particular on that front. And this leads to my next question, sir, which is pertaining to Jonathan Kuminga, because he missed 31 games because of that ankle injury. He's been back for 5 games now. As you mentioned, he scored in double figures in all 5 games. Last night, his 3-point shooting was off. 1 of 5 total from deep, 20%, but he did shoot 7 of 15 from the field overall. And so what that 3-point stat also shows you is that you take the 3-pointers away, and he was 6 of 10 from the field. So the 3-point shot clearly is not back yet.
No, you're right. You're so right. But NBA's got to stop with this thing of putting your field goal percentage. It's 2 different shots. It's 2 different percentages. What the hell do they combine the 2 together? It's irrelevant. If I want to see what happens, now you got to do it yourself. Okay, well, he took 5 there, so take those away. Do the bullshit. Just put down how many 2-point shots did he take and how many shots did he make? How many 3-point shots? How many made? What's his percentage from 2s? What's his percentage from 3s? Why do you combine them? It's the dumbest thing ever that they've been doing this for freaking decades now. It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, maybe next they'll throw in free throws as well and do that and count them all.
Well, they do, Rick. Rick. This is where I don't know if you've seen this true shooting percentage. Some people actually like this stat. I think it's one of the most absurd things ever, especially when you look at who's the leaders of that category. And people resort to this true shooting stat, which combines 2-point field goal percentage, 3-point field goal percentage, and field goal percentage, and they add their own equation to it. I'm with you. Get the hell out of here with that.
It's like overdoing it. This analytical stuff and bullshit. It's just so stupid. It's pretty simple. Like you should have said, Kuminga yesterday, what did he go? It was unbelievable. He was 6 for 10. He was shot 60% from 2s. He only shot 20% from 3s. Okay, so he had a bad shooting game from but he made up for it by shooting the other one. So that's all that really matters. So stop with this craziness of trying to put field goal, percentage field goals, this, and you include the 3-point shooting. That makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely zero.
Wholeheartedly agree. And so when you're watching Kuminga, last night I thought was the best he's looked since he's been back. How much grace do you give a player when he's missed that much time because of injury? How long typically does it take to get your flow back, your rhythm back, where you're feeling yourself again?
Well, it just depends on how hard he worked to get himself before he came back to play. I mean, you can be let's say he's probably in great shape as a normal human being, but normal human being is not in great enough shape to play professional basketball. Okay, you could be in good shape right now. Go out and try and play a basketball game and see what kind of shape you're really in. Now you're talking a big different game here. It's kind of like the same thing with a boxer, the kind of conditioning they have to be in and what they have to go through to be able to get into a fight and hold their hands up and throw all those punches and take punches. And so it's the same thing here. So I think he's looked good considering that. I didn't expect, that's the one thing, his 3-point shooting, which is not his forte anyway. I mean, that's the one area of the game we talked about all the time that he needs to get himself to be at least a 33% free throw, a 3-point shooter.
He's at 35 that, where he was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying, so I can live with the fact if he's getting up to 33, 35 or whatever, better than that, that's terrific. But conversely, if he's going, 6 for 10 from 2s, that's great. That's awesome. Then you got to make your free throws, right? Then you got to play some defense. Then you got to get some rebounds. And then you got to create for your teammate and get some extra assists. And that was the beauty of seeing what Jimmy did. 12 assists. I mean, shit, that's freaking super.
Oh, the Jimmy Butler experience has been beautiful, Rick. I think it's widely exceeded expectations for a lot of people. I mean, if you follow the NBA, you knew how good of a player Jimmy Butler was, but the fit. One aspect of Jimmy Butler that I absolutely love in terms of the trade and why I think it's working is Jimmy Butler is not focused about stats. Yes, he had his second triple-double of his career since joining the Warriors in last night's game. But he's not out there to get points. He's not trying to make his stat line stick out. He's all about winning. And that is huge because a lot of teams have a problem with egos. A lot of teams have a problem with individuals. Whereas with the Warriors, everyone seems to be bought in. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he made the comment here. I just heard him make a comment. He said, I'm here to try to do everything I can to help this team win a championship.
Yeah, exactly.
End of story. That's
exactly.
it. So if it means go out and get double-digit rebounds, I'm going to try to do that. If that's the case, I need to do that. I'm going to get double-digit in assists. I'm going to, try to score some points. I'm going to do the things I need to do to help this team win. And that's why experienced veteran players should be able to understand that and just be watching the flow of the game. This is what Kuminga has to learn to do. When he's sitting there on the bench, you don't sit there and be pissed off that you didn't start. You should be starting, blah, blah, blah. Watch the freaking game.
Yes.
Be ready to play. See what happens. Know you're going to go in. When you go in, what's going on? What's been happening in the game? How's this guy playing defense? What do we need? Do we need somebody to go to the and study what's happening in the game so that you understand and realize what do we need to do to be able to maintain what we're doing, or if we're struggling, what can I help to do to help make us play a little bit better? And so you sit there and you analyze the game as a player. You don't just sit there hoping and when the hell am I going to get in the game and doing stuff? Sit there and watch and understand what's going on. What do I need to do when I go in the game to help my team be a little bit better? Are the guys playing tough enough defense? Do I have to play a little harder in defense? Do I need to help? We're getting hurt on the boards. Let me go in and get some rebounds. What do I need to do to help us win?
Agreed, 1,000%. Rick, as we start wrapping it up here, I know you got a busy life. Side note, you joined us today right after the Joe Namath celebrity golf tournament. What are your thoughts on Happy Gilmore? The trailer for Happy Gilmore 2 came out. Do comedies like that rivet you, or are you bored by it?
Yeah, no. I love the Happy Gilmore was great. I actually got to meet Adam Sandler. I knew Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, because they're good buddies. And
we had dinner together with Rob.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is whenever Adam does a movie, Rob Schneider usually has a part in it somewhere.
Right.
Maybe even just a cameo or some crazy thing, but he pops himself up for some character in the movie. So those guys are really close buddies, and they're big sports fans. They love the Giants, and so I know both of them. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. That was kind of a movie you go to just to have some fun and wonder what insanity are they going to have in this movie coming up with. It was just so crazy that even to the point that he actually looked pretty good swinging and hitting the ball with that stupid running up and smacking
Incredible.
So it'll be fun. That should be a fun movie.
It should. I'm pumped about it myself, and I'm never going to forget that memory, Rick. In case people aren't familiar, I've shared the story before, but you were so gracious and kind to take myself, and because I had actually moved on from being your executive producer at this point, but you still thought of me. You brought myself, R.C. Davis, to a dinner at Morton's Steakhouse in San Francisco, and Rob Schneider shows up. I'm like, what's going on here? And because of your friendship with him, and Rob is a SF native. He's a huge sports fan in San Francisco, so I'm guessing that's where the connection is. But thank you for that. I know that was like 20 years ago, but still, thank you. That was incredible memory.
It's fun to meet a lot of these people. I'm just like even today to see some of these guys that I didn't see for Sterling Sharp, who's a hell of a golfer, by the way. I see him all the time. He's a really good golfer. But yeah, just so many great athletes that excel in all the stuff they do. Of course, the Miracle on Ice, Mike Eruzione, who's always around everywhere when, he had that incredible win against the Soviet Union in the Olympics. And so a lot of people like that are here. And who else was here, which was kind of a shock. My wife was shocked because she got introduced. Sarah Palin was here playing.
Interesting.
The former governor of Alaska who ran for office, obviously.
VP,
She's very short.
She now?
She's not that tall. Yeah, I was surprised at how short she was. But yeah, who else was here? Saban was here.
Who?
Saban.
Nick Saban.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of names.
Nick. So Nick was great. I mean, he was, just to see him because the success that he had at Alabama. I mean, God, you want to talk about what happened with Red Auerbach and the Celtics and stuff. I mean, what he did with Alabama is
incredible,
freaking incredible.
And he left it just the right time, because I think he read the writing of the wall that the NIL thing was changing the entire landscape.
Well, that's why most of these coaches just left.
Yeah.
That's why Larinaga left. That's why he left. That's why so many of these coaches are saying, this is insane. You know, you go into a recruit's house to do something, and they're not actually able to go in there and start talking about that because that's NIL stuff, which is out of the college's realm. And so that's somebody else has to talk. But the first question out of the mouths of the parents, how much money are you offering?
Yep.
I mean, so what the hell? You're not going there to sell you and what I could do for your child and the education and all this. No, bullshit. It all comes down to how much money you're paying us.
That's the world for you.
These guys just got tired of it. And fortunately for them, they were getting paid a lot of money. And so they don't have to put up with that stuff. And they really didn't want to deal with it anymore. It took the love of what they were doing out of it. It just became a money situation, a money grab. And it's sad. I mean, that's kind of screwed up sports so much now. And it's really not fair. And they want to keep it fair for everybody. Well, it's never going to be fair. You know, because the other guys are going, a lot of these guys, a lot of these players today will make more money playing in college because they're never going to be good enough to play in the pros. And they'll make more money in college than back in my day when we were playing. Well, hell, I already know that for a fact. I mean, the kid playing at Miami was doing something they gave my jersey to, my retired jersey. He was making more money in one season than I made in my first 3 full seasons in the NBA. Actually, maybe
that doesn't feel right to me still. Like, your jersey is retired. It's supposed to stay retired. Like, you're not supposed to just take breaks from that and give your number out.
That was kind of a weird thing, you know.
Look, I know it's a sensitive subject for you, so you can't really speak up. I will speak up for you. That's effed. That is effed.
Yeah, but it's not the end of the world. Hey, listen, what am I going to do? It's not I don't own the school.
I know.
But a retired jersey, I thought was supposed to be retired. And so the irony of it is, the same thing happened to my wife. They gave my wife's retired number to a player one time. So, but they responded admirably. After the game was over, her teammates ran down to the athletic director and said, "What the heck is going on?" And they got every jersey right after the thing, took the one from the girl who played, got every spare one they had, gave them all to my wife and said, "We're so sorry about that." So that was kind of interesting. So
it's messed up is what it is. I don't like that. Like, Andre Iguodala just had his number 9 retired. What are you going to do in 30 years? You're just going to loan that number out again? Like that you retire. What is the point of retiring a number if it's not going to be retired? Like, what's the point? I think that's absurd. But I know you're taking the higher road, sir. Let me speak the flat out bottom line truth here. It is F. They should not have done that. But that's my opinion on it, not yours, sir. But you're taking the higher road, and I respect that as well. We're wrapping it up here, but Armando Lara brings up an interesting point, because when we look back at the history of the NBA, people forget your contract issue was revolutionary for free agency, for player rights. And so Armando Lara raises awareness of that. If you don't mind rehashing what happened, I believe in the early 70s, that led to this contract dispute. And it ties into Jonathan Kuminga, who's currently in a situation where he's going to be a restricted free agent this offseason. And it's drawing some consternation from the fan base, because they think if he's going to get paid $35 million this offseason, that's too much. I keep maintaining that this is not the right time to bring up this talking point. But given it is happening, and you were involved in a very consequential situation in terms of the after effects for the entire NBA, enlighten the audience of what happened with your contract, the ramifications, and what do you think is happening with Kuminga mentally as he's going through this?
Well, the last part, I mean, only he could tell you that. But
fair.
Basically, back in those days, the clause that was in professional baseball and professional basketball contracts was called the reserve clause, and it was basically a contract of perpetuity. So if I signed my contract, and they were back 1-year contracts, no guaranteed contracts back in those days.
Crazy.
So when my first season was over, I've signed another contract the next year. I didn't even, think about it, whatever. Then after that, all of a sudden the ABA is around and there's something else available. Well, you read the contract a little closer. If I didn't come to an agreement at the end of my 1-year contract, it states in that contract that you are obligated to play the next season at 90% of what you played for the season, that previous season. So if I was making just easy numbers, I was making $100,000, and I couldn't come up to a deal and get a deal for the third year after my second year at $100,000, I would be obligated to play the next year at $90,000 and have to do it and have nothing to say about it.
That's crazy.
Which is not right. I mean, and that's what Kurt Flood got known for, was, challenging the reserve clause in baseball. But in basketball, it happened. I know the league was really upset with the Warriors, because the Warriors took the position that they had an option on my services and that I was required to have to play. And so it turned out and everything, no, fine, I give you an option on my services for that year, so I'll choose to sit out. I'm not going to play that year, and therefore I'm free to go wherever I want to go.
Right.
And so that's kind of what happened, and it opened up the door. And then, of course, Spencer Haywood came along with the early getting out early, and then that came to a collective bargaining between the league and the Players Association as to whether or not they were going to agree to how that could work out, so a player wouldn't have to wait. Because when I came out, after you came out of high school and you go to college, you were not eligible to play professionally until 4 years after your high school graduation. And that's when then they started to change things. And, I guess I couldn't play varsity basketball as a freshman when I came out. I had to play freshman basketball and then 3 years of varsity, but I couldn't go to the NBA until I finished those 3 years, and then 4 years after my high school graduation. So that all changed and made a major difference in what was happening in sports. And, a lot of it's good, but then like anything else, you overdo it. Now to this NIL craziness and stuff, that's nuts. It's screwing up teams. Players are leaving. They got the portal. Guy goes there. He's not happy with the thing going. Doesn't think he's playing enough. He goes in the portal. Somebody else may be out there to pick him up and give him an opportunity to go and play and get paid to go play someplace else. So
Rick, I don't know if you agree with me on this. I feel like we're in an era where, in terms of whether it's working class versus ruling class, however you want to spin it, I feel like we're just in these endless eras of overcorrections where we go too far on one side. In this case, maybe the players are having a little too much freedom where they could just go from team to team. But then before, it was the other direction where the NCAA was out of their minds in terms of the amount of control they were trying to exert over the players. Same thing with professional sports, right? Where you have the owners trying to exact these clauses on players, trying to enact control over you. And you as an athlete, you're like, F that, I want freedom. And you fought for it and you got it. But then sometimes it goes too far in the other direction.
Well,
where like
yeah,
it's just like, I don't know. It's just always like, it's hard to find the right balance is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if you
it's always difficult in everything in life. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain's last book, God Rest His Soul, was right on target. The inmates are running the asylum.
Yeah.
No, seriously. I mean,
I know.
The owners had such control and took advantage of the players, and it was all one-sided there. And then they came back and they got it, and the players started to get some stuff. Then it gets to the point where all of a sudden it's ridiculous how much control that they have over things and the kind of money that they're asking for. But again, I don't blame the players. I mean, the owners have a simple thing. No, I'm not going to pay you that much money.
Exactly. It's all about perspective. And again, it's just. But it's just when we go too far in one direction, it's where you start seeing other people, a lot of people suffer on the other side. And it's just this endless struggle. And I think the fight for balance is just ongoing in terms of trying to make the most people happy in every situation. Rick, is there anything you feel like we haven't covered regarding the Warriors? Is there anything
No, I'm excited about it. I'm just happy to hear that Steph is okay, that, I mean, he's nothing of any serious nature, hopefully.
Yes.
That he, let's hope that they can take this trip, go out there, win the game against Atlanta. That would be great. And then hopefully he'll be back ready to come and join them after that, because he'll have a good 4 or 5 days or something of rest if he doesn't do that. Because he'll be out tomorrow, he'll be out the next day, and then he's got another 2-3 days possibly playing next Tuesday. But and if he needs the extra rest, they can do it. But the big thing is get that win against Atlanta. Now this to me becomes a very important win for the Warriors to try to find a way to come away with a victory there. It would go a long way towards, I think, cementing their position in the playoffs, to know that they're going to be there and they're going to be somewhere between 6 and 8, hopefully, and not have to worry about getting to the falling down to get into the playoffs, because a lot of teams really close right now. I don't know. I've never seen it, this close in such a long time, to have so many teams so close in positioning with a game or 2 or 3, determining the difference between being in the playoffs or having to go into the playoff play-in.
Yeah. And before we go, Cool Breeze in the chat is asking, who would we root for tonight, the Clippers or the Grizzlies? That is the biggest game of consequence for the Warriors. I'm gonna say I'm rooting for the Clippers. I'm gonna root for the team that is below the Warriors and not ahead of them, because I'm looking at the playoff positioning, Rick, and it seems more and more like if the Warriors want to make a long run and have a successful postseason, the 4-5 slot would be the most ideal situation to put yourself in, because I don't think the Warriors are afraid of OKC. Would you agree with that sentiment?
I would agree with that. I think they
Yeah.
play well against them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't want to play the Rockets.
They don't or they do?
Don't.
What do you see
Not the,
that?
I'm sorry, not the Rockets. I'm sorry, the Nuggets, because they used to be the Denver Rockets in the ABA. They don't want to
Did
play
they
the
really?
Nuggets. No, the
They were
Nuggets.
called the Rockets?
Yeah. In the
Denver?
ABA with
I
the
guess
Denver
there was an Air
Rockets.
Force there.
No, it was
The
the
Air
Denver
Force was there.
Rockets. No, it was the Rocket Trucking Company that the guy owned. So but
Oh.
it was the Rockets. But no, they don't want to play the Nuggets. The Nuggets
Hell
have always
no.
been a team that I just think the Warriors have always had a tough time with, and especially with the Joker. I mean, that guy he's a killer. But yeah, I don't want to see them play. I don't want to see them have to play the Nuggets.
No, and I think you have a much better shot of avoiding them if you're a 4-5, unless Denver's also a 4-5. This whole thing is insane, but I'm 100% with you. The Nuggets scare the ever living shit out of me, and I don't want the Warriors to be playing them in the first round. Rick, you got some clients, some companies that you work with. Let's give them some love before we wrap it up here today. And I have these all written down here. AlloMD, right?
Yeah, AlloMD.com, and then Medicilleaf.com, MEDICILEAF.com. And those are great companies to check out. And then, of course, Go Sleeves, GOSLEEVES, which are incredible sleeves for knees and elbows and calves and what have you. And they've got kinesio tape built into them. I never play pickleball without mine. They're so good. They're great for rehab. We've got a lot of football players are starting to do them. The runners are crazy about it, and they've got some new technology that they're going to be adding into it. So very exciting stuff. And if you go to any of those sites and you put in the code RB, small RB 24, you can get a nice discount on all of those products on any of the items that are in there. The AlloMD has great stuff called Ultra Repair X. That's a cannabinoid product, but they also have a lot of amazing aloe products, for women and other things that they can still use that discount code to take advantage of that.
What do you recommend for a severely bruised coccyx like Stephen Curry is dealing with right now?
Because without question, he should be using some. And probably, any of the stuff good. The Ultra Repair X would be good, but the more powerful one for something like his knee would be the Medicilleaf, the Platinum Pro salve that we have. It's got 550 milligrams of a combination of different cannabinoids, and all of that is basically that's inflammation. That's what causes all the problems and stuff because of what happened in the trauma. That would be an incredible product for him to be putting on every day, a bunch of times during the day from now until he comes back. That would be a perfect product for him to use. Perfect.
Beautiful. There you go. And if Rick Barry's endorsing it, folks, trust it. I don't know if you can get much more
here's
credible.
The thing I
than
can
the
say.
Hall of Famer.
Not everything works for everybody, but the thing is, I've seen miraculous things happen for certain people doing that. And if you can try something that's a natural product, that it's not some kind of chemical that you're throwing in there, it's natural. And if it can't hurt you and it has a chance to help you, why in the world would you not try it? Seriously.
Yep. Exactly. I don't know how better to put it. Rick, always a pleasure, sir. It really is.
Right.
I'm working on a new sponsor.
For the Warriors. Go Warriors. Beat those.
Yeah. And I'm working on getting a sponsor. So we have you back on a weekly basis. So you're getting paid. But in the meantime, Rick, and thank you. I'm always grateful, sir, for having you on the program. And again, people can follow you on all social media platforms. I know Instagram, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Instagram is where you're most active. People can follow you at all of them at Rick24Barry, the 24 representing the number that hangs in the rafters of Chase Center, representing the jersey you wore for the Golden State Warriors, including winning the 75 title. Side note, this is the 50th anniversary of you winning the championship, getting the finals MVP. Any updates on the documentary? Because I'm expecting news.
The documentary, I think, is pretty much complete. And the great thing about it is I got to speak to someone that they brought on board who actually was responsible for the documentary Goliath about Wilt Chamberlain, which was up for an Emmy. And this probably made me more excited than anything else. He said, Rick, I'm telling you, he said, I think that this documentary is going to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, to give credit to your team and what you guys were able to do and how special it was. He said, I think it's as good or better than the Goliath documentary. I really am excited about it. So it's done. It's just a matter of where it's going to go, how it's going to be presented. I still am praying and hoping that Joe Lacob and Peter Goober will decide and find some way to work with the NBA. And I think the ideal situation that it's taken 50 years to finally get it is to have it be premiered one night when nothing's going on and do it at Chase Center. I think we can pack the place. It would be an absolutely beautiful way to expose this to the fans and then get it out there somewhere, somehow, some way, so that the rest of the fans can have a chance to see it.
There's going to be a little window of time between the regular season concluding and the postseason starting, especially if the Warriors get a 6 seed or higher. To me, that seems like the ideal time. Pack Chase Center with that film. Also have it on the big screen outside for Thrive City. Wholeheartedly agree with you, but justice needs to be served for that 75 team because it's one of the greatest upsets in sports history. No one expected your club to beat the vaunted Washington Bullets, and you swept their asses. I want to see that documentary, sir. So we're just on standby. Is that kind of the gist?
Yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see what happens. I mean, we just we don't know. Don't have any control over it. I'm trying to do as much as I can to help Charles Dudley to have a bunch of people. I put him in touch with some other people who said, "Hey, we'd love to be able to help out." But again, the NBA is involved, and the NBA has a lot of control over things, obviously. And
yes, they do.
You know, to do a documentary, you have to have them working with you because otherwise, you don't have any footage that you can use. So, how do you do a documentary without having footage, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't think about that.
See.
Okay.
You know, hey, but here's the thing: whatever's meant to be is meant to be. Whatever it's going to be, I'm just thrilled that it's going to get out. However they do it is fine. I'm just saying, personally, I think what I just mentioned would be an ideal way to have it premiered.
Yes. It is ideal. And if you can achieve the ideal, why not do it? I mean, they call it ideal because sometimes it's idealistic. It's too good. The reality of it's hard. I don't think in this instance, the ideal situation is difficult to achieve. So I agree with you. I hope Chase Center is the spot for that. I'm going to try to make it to that Sunday, April 6th game where the Warriors are hosting the Houston Rockets. I'll try to make that so I can see you, brother. But Rick,
great.
Thank you, sir. As always, this was an absolute pleasure.
Excuse me.
It always is.
Yeah. So, all the best, everybody. Good luck, and let's hope the Warriors have a successful road trip.
Let's hope as well. We'll see you soon, Rick. Thank you, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. See you tomorrow night. Warriors-Hawks post game. Bye.